Welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly of mining helium during a bear market. It's such an important factor which is not really spoken about, it's underlooked. However, it's going to be something we all face when a bear market arises. There is a key factor I want to put across. Whatever the cryptocurrency you are mining, MXC, Helium, Planet Watch, and so forth, if you do not believe in the project for the long term, there is not much point mining the cryptocurrency. I say this because short-term gains are made right at the start of a project. But once the project is up and running and has a lot of users on board, the short-term gains are not that much visible anymore. I personally mine helium for the long term. The reason is because I believe that this cryptocurrency will explode once 5G is rolled out globally. So let's speak about the good points. Number one, it is affordable to run a miner. Back in the days, or just a few years ago, there was no such thing as low-powered mining. With mining technologies such as helium coming along, you can mine without occupying as much space, you can run a silent miner, and most important of all, you can run a device which hardly consumes any energy. A lot of people don't really take into account how cheap it is to run a miner. I'll quickly go through the details and break it down to you. So if you access this electricity bill calculator, I've left the link in the description below, you can select the country that you are mining in. For the typical appliance, you can just leave that blank. The power consumption for a Bobcat miner, which I'm taking as an example, is 5 watts per hour. So type in 5, and the hours of use per day would be 24. I would assume that all of us miners will be mining for 24 hours. So for 1 kilowatts per hour, you need to check with the company who are supplying your electricity. So for me, I use EDF Energy, which is based in the UK, and for 1 kilowatts per hour, they charge 20.77 pence. So I type that in within the field and then press calculate. As you could see, the electricity cost per month is approximately 75 pence for running a Bobcat miner daily for 24 hours per day. That's hardly anything, which equates to approximately $1. So you can see how beneficial it is to run a miner during a bear market. Number two, passive income. Once the miner is synced to the blockchain, there is not much you have to do. Once it's plugged into the wall, you just need to let it run. And yes, you can upgrade your antenna, you can upgrade the equipment you use with a miner, but once that's done, again, the miner is just sitting there earning income. It's a great time to accumulate HNT during a bear market because you don't really need to take profits and the profits are going to be super low. So accumulating through a long period of time and stacking it up, waiting for the next bull cycle is a really advisable thing to do. What I would also say is once you've broken your return on investment, it's just like having a money printer at home, printing money on a daily basis. Number three, the mining competition can reduce. Yes, there are going to be so many miners that are going to be onboarded onto the blockchain, but once the bear market comes into play, there are going to be so many miners who are going to be demotivated, they're not going to care about their miners as much as before. At these times, it's a great time to be the person who's going to keep on mining. So you're going to be able to accumulate much more HNT than if all miners were online at the same time. And number four, the prices of a helium miner are going to drop. So if you're looking to purchase a bunch of miners, this will be a great opportunity because the sell and resell value are going to go down. This will be based on a lot of people not buying anymore because they don't see the short-term profits, and also people are going to be reselling their miners seeing there is no opportunity in the long term. But if you truly believe in the project, then you can deploy tons of miners and have them all running at the same time, accumulate that HNT, and then take your profits during the bull run. So that's the good parts, but what about the bad? Number one, by the time your miners arrive, it's already a bear market. This will mean that your return on investment is going to be much slower compared to how it is right now. And you need to factor this in when you're purchasing your miners. If you're purchasing for the long run, then it shouldn't phase you as much. If you're purchasing for the short term, then it's not going to be as profitable. Number two, Wi-Fi data. If you're not with a service provider providing unlimited data, then you should take into account the data that your Wi-Fi runs at. At the moment, the network doesn't use much data transfers, but there will be a point where data transfers do rise. So it is advisable to keep a track of the data you consume, and if you require to update your data plan, then be aware of the costs involved. And number 3, the market is saturated. You won't be earning as much in terms of a dollar value on a daily basis. However, the good point about this is this comes down to you being a short-term versus a long-term trader. A short-term trader will only believe in the dollar value, but a long-term trader is going to believe in the HNT value. If you are a short-term trader, you really only care about how much you are making right now. But if you are a long-term trader and you believe that HNT will be 10 or 20 times more its current HNT value, then this shouldn't matter as much to you, because even if you're earning, say, 1 HNT a month, but if HNT was worth $1,000 in the long-term future, then that would be $1,000 per month. I know these might sound unrealistic right now, but if you're really trying to understand what the company is trying to achieve and its long-term vision, then a high dollar value for 1 HNT could be achievable. And finally, the ugly. This will come down to the project collapsing and basically not being able to establish solid partnerships. It needs people, or it needs companies to use its network in order to grow. So if it cannot do this, then there will be no use for HNT, the cryptocurrency itself. So that is the worst case scenario. Everyone should know that and understand the risk involved. So what are my final thoughts? Millionaires will risk thousands to become rich, but the average person doesn't really want to risk much or doesn't want to risk anything and still become rich. Unfortunately, this is not how the universe currently works. There is a risk with every project you get into, whether it is helium mining or not. However, the higher the risk, the better the reward. When I started mining helium, I admit I did put a bit more than I expected to, because I believed in the ecosystem and I believed in where the project is heading. And the risk did pay off. However, the market has grown since then, and the short-term gains are not as short anymore. If you hodl for a few years, the price of HNT might hit a point that you never expected. This is definitely not investment advice, but more of advice to help you understand what will happen when a bear market does arise. And it's up to you to make a decision whether mining helium is going to be profitable in the short and long term for you personally. I hope this video has been of value, so stay subscribed and keep those notification bells on. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.